The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi everyone. Today in Aging Horizons, we're going to be talking about medical identity theft and other kinds of medical scams and things that might be hitting your community these days. We want to make sure that you keep all your benefits safe. We want to make sure that you don't give your Medicare number out to anybody unscrupulous, and we just want to get you informed. So today, stay tuned.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Good care is your right. In Montana, there's over 11,000 beds in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. If you or a family member needs assistance or help in obtaining information about care issues and placement options, call 1-800-332-2272. If you or a family member need information about Montana's long-term care resident rights, or if you need help solving a problem or a complaint about a nursing home or an assisted living facility, call us at 800-332-2272.
Is that Robert Knievel? Captain Lewis, Captain Clark, I'm officially Evel Knievel now. I'm getting my Montana Real ID.
Did you make an appointment at mtrealid.gov?
Yes, sir.
Smile.
About my non-laminated Social Security card, 2 documents proving my current residential address, and my certified birth certificate.
Approved.
Go to mtrealid.gov.
Now I can fly. It's that easy.
Montanans are independent. We're also responsible, protective, and committed to our families and communities. That's why we've done so well against COVID-19. As we open up, we've got to keep doing what we do best. And it starts with each and every one of us, protecting public health in the 406 for our families, friends, and neighbors. We all have to do our part. Montanans get that. And we've got this.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and today we're going to be talking about scams and medical ID theft and other ways that your medical benefits might be corrupted in some way. We want to teach you about what's out there and what to avoid, and how to find out if you've been scammed, how to find out who you can hook up with to help you with that. And with us today to talk about that is Renee Labrie-Shanks. And Renee, we're so happy to have you here with us.
Thanks, Kimmy. I appreciate being asked to be on the show.
And Renee, you are the director of the Smp Program, which is, if you want to, say it's Senior Medicare Patrol, and you are your office in Missoula, but you have people all over the state that work SMP types of tasks. Can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly, yes. In Montana, we contract across the state with every area agency on aging. And though our hub is out of Missoula Aging Services, and as you know, our mission is to promote the independence, dignity, and health of older adults and those they care for. And one of the programs that accomplishes this for all of us is SMP, or Senior Medicare Patrol. And so we contract across the state. Everyone has their closest office on aging, where we empower seniors to prevent Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. And we utilize outreach to help educate those on Medicare or those going on Medicare or caregivers for someone who is, which brings me here today. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible with this messaging and hopefully save someone from falling victim.
Right. Would you mind just defining a little bit, what is a scam that you might see in your daily work?
Certainly. Well, I want to back up just ahead and talk about what medical identity theft
Oh,
is.
sure.
And then talk about the medical identity theft that we see. And because I think a lot of people, they hear about guarding your identity theft, guarding your social security number and your personal information, but we don't talk about medical identity theft and what that really means. And it's serious, because it's when someone uses your name or your health insurance or Medicare number and they see a doctor or get prescription drugs or file insurance claims in your name. Maybe they get durable medical equipment like a brace, or you do, but then they're selling your information to others to, get other care, or sell you genetic test kits, things you don't need, where they're just out to get money from Medicare. Mm-hmm. So I want people to understand that medical ID theft is separate from plain old ID theft, and it is a hot commodity on the black market, because a stolen social security number might bring in $1 or $2, but health insurance information can go for $60 to $70 on the black market.
Wow.
And the reason it costs more than traditional identity theft is because it can be sold over and over and over again. They say it could take about 200 hours of your time to clear it up, and maybe costs about $13,000. And, partly because there's just no centralized source that keeps all medical records. So it's a very complicated problem once it happens.
Renee, how do I even know if my medical ID was stolen?
The number one way, and this is always in my messaging, whether we're saying save Medicare dollars or save your medical identity, whatever, it all comes down to one thing: reading the statements that come in, opening the Medicare summary notices or the Medicare Advantage explanation of benefits. And if you're not on Medicare, whatever insurance you're on, because if somebody's got a hold of your information, that is the sign, that's the cue. They're billing for services in your name. It has to go through your insurance. So you may not get a bill, but you will see it on your statements.
And if that happens to a person, like, let's say it happened to me and I didn't even know it, could it just go on and on and on, and I'd owe lots and lots of money at the end?
Well, again, they may not be sending you bills. I know I've used similar examples to this, but what happens is a provider starts billing for services in somebody's name. Say they see the person in real life and they see them once and they bill for that service. And then they might try and bill again for another service that they didn't provide and check to see, is somebody going to call on this? And if they don't, and I don't know what goes through there, I don't pretend to know what goes through their head, but how they start off is they bill for another service, and they can bill for services over years, and it's not going to come to us in the mail. It's not going to come and show up with, I owe hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's Medicare paying for these services, because we have to remember Medicare's job is to process claims. That is their job. And so when they get these submitted insurance claims, they're filled out correctly. They don't know who you saw. They don't know when you saw them. They're not checking in to make sure that this is actually a service you received. That's your job. Mm-hmm. And so if you're getting things billed on those statements over a period of time, there was one man who saw a doctor once, and the man got $102,000 out of Medicare, cold hard cash for that man over the period of 3 years, because that man had never checked to question any of the services being billed in his name. And I do want to make sure people understand, it's all well and good that we find the people eventually, and then we say, oh, we recovered $102,000 or $1.2 million or whatever it is. But when we break it up, we don't recover the money, because one, we've got to spend money investigating. We've got prosecutors who have to prosecute. That all costs a lot of money. And then at the end of the day, did these people put their millions in the bank waiting for us to take it back? No, they didn't. Yeah. They've bought things with it. They've spent it. So then we're spending money trying to sell off their resources to recoup money.
Right.
So it's a mess. So stopping it at that first service that you see on your statement.
It's imperative. That's right.
Oh, it's imperative.
And folks,
that's when to stop it.
We're going to tell you a whole lot more. Stay with us.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking with Renee Labrie-Shanks about medical identity theft today, and we just heard a lot about how that begins and where you need to get involved at the very first step if possible. And Renee, welcome back. We're so glad to have you. Would you talk a bit about the kinds of challenges and issues that can happen for a victim of medical ID theft?
Yes, I'd be happy to. There's a few things that can happen if this does occur, and one is very dangerous because it can impact our health. And it's when your medical records get tainted with information about a person who used your ID for services. So if your number gets out there into the world and you're not monitoring your statements and paying attention, things are being billed for in your name. This could impact your health. It could end up getting, a medication you're allergic to on your record, or the wrong blood type can get somehow in there. And in the event of an emergency, it could prove fatal when there's incorrect information. And that's what the doctors see first.
Yeah.
Because, records are just conflated out there. Everybody's got their own system. And once things start getting mixed up like that, you'll lose control over your information. And then there's also getting stuck with dealing with bills for services you didn't receive. It's possible, that can have an impact on credit records. That I have seen where people receive bills for medical services they didn't have. And a lot of times there are mistakes that can cause this as well. But if people get calls from debt collectors for medical bills they don't recognize, that's a sign. And these are not always so easy to clear up. And that's why watching it the first time you recognize something or don't on your statements, you can clear it up so much quicker. And then lastly, perhaps you've reached your benefit limit because things have been billed in your name. And so insurance isn't going to cover your needs anymore. So these are very real problems that impact people.
Yeah, and we want to make sure this is very clear. If a person feels they're in that situation, Renee, here in Montana, what do they do?
We'd like them to call SMP, their local SMP office. If they have things on their statements that they don't recognize, or that maybe it's showing up more than once and they only had it one time, anything like that, we want them to give us a call so we can help look into it. I mean, the first thing they can do is simply call their provider. Living in Montana, we're a low fraud state. A lot of the issues that we see are more to do with in-state waste and the errors that happen, and those are easily to clear up right away with calling your provider directly. Now, out of state, when we're dealing with marketing calls, telemarketing, unsolicited calls that people are getting, that's when they get really wound up in the fraud. And again, if they're receiving things that they didn't order, or they are being billed for things that they didn't order, we want them to call us, and we can work with the Office of Inspector General and get that turned in as fraud.
So you mentioned that Montana is a pretty low fraud state, but you know, Renee, we still all have the obligation to read those EOBs or those MSNs and make sure we know what our paperwork is showing, correct?
Correct. We are responsible. These are our benefits, and you know, we always question, is Medicare going to be solvent? How long is it going to be solvent? Well, when we're spending or losing $70 billion a year as a nation in Medicare fraud, let alone other healthcare fraud, that's a real serious question, but that can be stopped. I always like to use this analogy, and I hope I don't lose you here, but okay, I look at it like there's somebody who's here to burglarize your house, okay? You wouldn't let them in the door, right? So that first call you get where it says Medicare records show you're eligible for a free back brace or something like that. And maybe you give out your Medicare number, maybe you don't, you know, it works a couple different ways. But once they have made that call, that's like the burglars on your front porch at that point. And you're not gonna leave your door unlocked, right? You're not gonna let them in. So once they get that, you want to read that first statement. So you see, I see a $500 bill that I didn't receive. I'm going to stop them right there. We're not going to let them crack into the door and do another one or run through your entire house stealing everything of value and then catch them as they're leaving or they've pawned everything already. We want to stop them at that front door. So this is what happens in Montana a lot, is that you'll get a call, they'll tell you you're eligible. They might fax your doctor the orders, because if it's a back brace and you've talked to your doctor about a bad back, they might let it go through. They're going to sign off on it. That's how they know this is how it starts. And then you're going to get some cheap Velcro plastic piece of junk probably that Medicare was charged, $1,000 for. And that's not even the worst of it, because now they've got your information and they're selling your information to others. And you're going to soon be billed for a left, right, wrist, a knee brace, an ankle. They're going to try and get you for everything. There was actually a woman who got billed for 21 different items. 7 different companies before it was turned in. And when we look at the documents, we look at those Medicare summary notices, you could see all the different companies are trying to bill for all these things. And this company would get that one in first, so they'd get the right leg brace, but this one would get the left. And it was just a mess. And, that is the scam that we're talking about that happens when people aren't
paying attention. Yep. Yeah, and folks, it doesn't have to be that way. If you're informed and educated, you will know if a scam's coming at you, and you'll know where to call if you think you have a scam coming at you. Remember, it is everyone's responsibility to protect their benefits. Just because insurance will pay for it, we're still paying for that through premiums, etc. And we want to make sure that nobody scams us. We have a lot more to talk about, and we don't want you to miss a word, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
I take care of my wife at home. When I found out training was available, I said, sign me up. It's made a huge difference.
When my husband was injured at work, it was life-altering. The classes taught me that it's okay to grieve, to ask for help, and to better cope as a caregiver.
My dad lives 4 hours away, and the Powerful Tools classes taught me that it's okay to ask for help. I highly recommend them.
To find out about this course for caregivers, go to powerfultoolsforcaregivers.org.
It's amazing the difference a little training can make.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare Preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking about Medicare identity or medical identity theft today, and also just some of the scams out there that you want to avoid. We have our expert scam finder, Renee Labreath-Shanks, who is the director of our state's SMP or Senior Medicare Patrol. Hi, so good to have you, Renee. I want to know if there's any way to fix it if you've been the victim of a scam. You know, you have done a great job of lining out what we might be up against out there. But what if it happens and you need to fix it? Is there a way to fix it?
Yes, and remind me to go back to that if I go off on a tangent here, because I first want to talk about stopping it in the first place, because people don't realize our phones are no longer the phones we grew up with, right? They're just not. You don't know who's calling you. They use technology to make it look like it's somebody from your own town now, when it's not. They just need to know that if they can, get you on the phone, they've won half the battle, because they're using psychology against all of us. And they call it getting us under the ether. They actually say, if they get us in this heightened emotional state where it's hard to think and clearly make rational decisions, they're making sure that they are ahead of us. And if we can stop them at the border here, where we don't answer the phone unless we know who it is, if it's important, they'll leave a message. Or if you don't have a cell phone, you can either talk to your phone company or get a scam blocker. They're like $25 at Walmart to hook it up to your phone to help with this. So that's the number one thing, is don't fall for it in the first place. And if they get you on the phone, either have a script in your head that says, I'm not going to give out my personal information. Always slow it down. Just don't give out your info. But let's say it's out there. So first of all, if it's a data breach, that's something we have no control over. Take advantage of free credit monitoring that they're going to provide. You always want to file a police report if you've actually given out your information or have a loss of money. And it's not that they're going to be able to necessarily investigate it, but having that on file, it's an identity theft report, and it will help you and give you the entitlement to certain important protections that can help you recover more quickly from identity theft down the road. And then always want to ask for copies of your medical records. If you've been victimized and something's been billed through a doctor in your name, you want to make sure nothing else on there is incorrect. And then if it's Medicare related, you've given out your number, you want to call 1-800-MEDICARE and report that immediately.
Yeah, it sounds really terrifying to have that happen to a person. And so, I did like your analogy of the burglar at the door and don't let him in, because that's the best, most perfect way to avoid all of this nonsense.
There's been some critical strides in fraud prevention measures through the Affordable Care Act, like a smart database, being able to stop the fraud when it's questioned. But the simplest way to stop the fraud is before that criminal runs through your house. You want to stop it when you first see something. And it's all of our duty to do that, because we're the ones who know what services we received. And caregivers can help with this. If you see a pile of unopened Medicare summary notices, please, everybody start opening those and just read them and it will be obvious. You look for the dates, the services, and the providers. Just make sure you recognize everything.
And these scammers, Renee, they watch the news and they wait for the chaotic times, don't they?
Oh, they're very good at following headlines. They thrive on confusion. They thrive on catastrophes. There's been multiple changes due to this pandemic, including expansions in telehealth, for example. And so with any change, there's been scams, and they rely on that and our vulnerability to keeping up with all of this change and not knowing. So you'd be surprised how they just recycle old strategies that fit this changing environment. Examples trying to sell a COVID vaccine or to move up in line and reserve a spot, COVID testing kits, telehealth itself. So you just don't want to give your Medicare number to anyone over the phone or door to door. We don't have a lot of door to door in Montana, again, being a lower fraud state, a little more rural. We have some benefits to that. But technology is there with us as anyone. So robocalls about special virus kits or updating your Medicare number, Medicare card, we're going to send you a new plastic card. Not happening. So just slow it down, ask friends, ask family, call your agency on aging, ask your SHIP counselor or your SMP. Any question you have, just slow it down and don't give out that information until you've vetted it.
And I think I do want to mention also, Renee, that if you have been the victim of a scam, it happens, and it doesn't make you a stupid person. It doesn't make you ignorant. It just makes you having, succumb to somebody's manipulation and psychological pressure.
We are all capable of falling for, and it sounds bad when we say you fell victim.
Right.
But they are very good at what they do. They're very smooth. They're professionals. They work at it. They study it, and they have it down. So when we are all faced with this, we all want to, be nice. We want to be a team player. They get you to say yes once and some little action. Maybe it's just saying the word yes out loud on the phone. And then they're going to get you to say yes. And then once you start saying yes, it's easier to say yes. It's psychology.
Yes.
It's just simple psychology and human nature. We want to connect the dots. They're taking advantage of us. So people just don't overshare any health-related matters, not even on social media. Fraudsters are good at aggregating information, whether it's on the phone with you and you don't notice as they're sitting there taking notes. Oh, you got 2 grandkids. Oh, you got, they're taking notes while they're talking to you. So they have all that information on you. And next thing you know, you think of them as Jim in New York instead of some unknown entity.
Renee, thank you so much for your time today. We have had so much great information. And folks, if there's any problem, call your area agency and talk to one of the counselors there. They'll be happy to help.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.